What the hell? They said there's one bag of beef jerky in the fridge at 71st Street. A small insulated bag would be fine. The hell?
You lying ass bitch.
All my niggas from the Hooters, all my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks, all my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been addressed, you been stuck in a computer.
Listen, we are back with another one, y'all. Crazy, man. Listen, man, why do words like Pizzagate and even beef jerky keep showing up in the Epstein files? Now, today I'm trying to get into a quick breakdown, try to dive into these documents real quick, but also get into Tucker Carlson and Carroll just unpack something that's looking strange, man, in this language. Is it a hidden code? Is it a hidden language? Is it patterns to these things? It has a lot of people asking these questions, but what does it all mean? We also going to be going into all of the guests that was on JRE, the Joe Rogan's podcast that ended up being in the Epstein's files, as well as we could go diving into the Epstein's files as well and take a dive in there. But I also want to get into, because there's a lot of connections, because when we're talking about this pizza, we see a lot of pizza in here, yummy beef jerky. Some people are saying that maybe these are correlations to human, this is what's going on. This is what's really happening. So I do want to take a little breakdown. We got Epstein's girlfriend. They said he left her money and so many different things, man. We have a bulk drop of how many million files, still got millions to go. Some people are saying that this bulk drop is just like a throwaway and people are still waiting for some things, but some people say that in these files is a lot of damning evidence. So salute to everybody. Make sure y'all are dropping a like. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Turn the notification bells on and make sure that you're notified when we are dropping new content. All right. So let's get into my boy, man, Tucker Carlson, man. We're going to get into Tucker, and then we're going to start to break down everything else. Salute to everybody.
Between, and apparently text exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and, we think, a urologist, a physician who was treating him apparently for erectile dysfunction in the spring of 2018. And that physician's name is Harry Fish. Again, we're not alleging anything. We're just going to read what's in this. Okay. So this is the doctor texting Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm quoting, and they're going back and forth on stuff. And he says, "I'm back. Can call you in Stendra 100 at Zitmer." Now, Stendra is apparently an erectile dysfunction drug like Viagra, and he's prescribing it to Jeffrey Epstein, who apparently needs it. And Epstein writes, "How many?" And the doctor writes back, 10. "They didn't have your call yet? You have refills available. Call them back. Thanks."
I want y'all to tell me if what this doctor is about to tell him. This is the doctor, Harry Fish. Why is Harry Fish telling him this after he's asking him to prescribe him some more Viagra type medicine? Look at what this doctor says to Jeffrey Epstein right after. Let's get back.
I wanted you to call, Epstein says to his urologist about the erectile dysfunction drugs. The doctor writes back, "I just did. You can pick them up now." And here's the line that inspired the segment you're about to watch. After you use the erectile dysfunction drugs, after you take Viagra or its equivalent, we're quoting, "wash your hands and let's go get pizza and grape soda. Call me." So to all the people who dismissed out of hand this conspiracy theory about Pizzagate, it had nothing to do with sex or kids or anything illicit at all. It wasn't a code word. They was eating pizza. Here you have apparently Jeffrey Epstein's urologist telling him that after you take your erectile dysfunction drug, after you become sexually potent again, wash your hands and join me for pizza and grape soda.
What the hell is that about, y'all?
Oh, no, you can't be serious. That is some bullshit right there.
After you take your medicine, Viagra type medicine, wash your hands let's get some pizza and grape soda. What the hell is that?
Okay, now. You don't have to be a total wacko to see the connection between a pizza and grape soda and what sounds like some kind of illicit sex act, again, committed by a guy with a documented history of illicit sex acts with young people. So the obvious question is, what is this? The second obvious question is, has anyone in federal law enforcement talked to the surviving member of this text exchange, which would be this guy, Harry Fish, whoever he is, apparently now a pharma executive? Has anyone talked to him, not arrested or indicted him, but just like sat him down and said, hey, pizza and grape soda after taking an erectile dysfunction drug? What were you talking about? Speak slow.
No questions for this guy, Harry Fish. You heard what that man said? We're gonna get right into the interview and this conversation with Ian Carroll. Shout out to Ian Carroll for his breakdown. Pray over the brother, because when you start speaking in a certain way like this, brother, you already know the upper room and Jesus. You already know Eddie Martin in life, homie, when you talking certain talks. Shout out to this brother that's talking his talk. Listen. In a van. $40,000 worth of hot dogs being flown. Pause, homie. I'm from New York City. Pause. $40,000 worth of glizzies? Nah, bruh.
Oh no, you can't be serious. That is some bullshit right there.
Since all of this has come out, the said Instagram is now private. It had pictures of minors. Crazy, crazy. But this is the Instagram to this pizza place, all right? So I do want to show y'all something as well real quick, right? Because there's a connection to this pizza place, and it's crazy. So I'm going to come back to Ian Carroll and Tucker Carlson. But I do want to show y'all something real quick, right? Because this is the connection in between that and
the
that.
man who terrorized people at a crowded D.C. pizza shop back in 2016 has died. Edgar Madison Welch was shot and killed Monday by police in Kannapolis, North Carolina, after he pulled out a gun during a traffic stop. 8 years ago, the so-called Pizzagate gunman entered Comet Ping Pong in Northwest with a revolver and rifle. He was searching for a non-existent child sex ring, which he learned about from a right-wing conspiracy website. Welch was sentenced to prison and released back in 2021.
It mutes me. That guy was unalived last year or so, 2025. Some people are making the connection between this guy being unalived after this, and he was unalived in a whole nother state. He was found in another state, and the deputies ran down on him. When the deputies approached him, they said that he had a weapon, and they fired upon him, however it went, and he was unalived. Some people are making some connections to this guy, and this same place that Ian Carroll is about to talk about, that's in the files. This happened with this guy, and this guy was unalived because he went in there and started clapping. He went up in the spot, started clapping, supposedly. But he was looking for an underground PDF ring that he learned from Reddit or whatever he learned from internet. All right, cool. Let's get back to the work. Salute to everybody. Make sure y'all dropping a like. Make sure y'all are hitting the polls, all right? Let's get back to Tucker Carlson because we got a lot to get through.
And taped to tables, things like commenters talking about rape and sexual abuse, things like comments about kill rooms, and just so much disturbing imagery on a public Instagram account for a public pizza place that has photos of like Obama having pizza at it. That in these emails, Podesta is talking about going and having, lunch at this pizza place with all these very high level political people. And it started to get very strange. And so Pizzagate itself spiraled out into a lot of questions and concerns and genuine investigation. But then it got distorted by the media response, which felt a lot like an immune response to a dangerous virus. And the media response then packaged up all of these very legitimate questions that never got answered. And it repackaged it as these crazy people on the internet think that Hillary Clinton personally is running. She's the top. She's the head of a satanic pedophile cabal. And the whole thing is being run out of the basement of this pizza place. That is, you see like the absurdity of the sort of wrapper they put around this, which no one was claiming that. No one was claiming that Hillary was running it. No one was claiming that it was all out of the basement of this pizza. They were just asking a lot of questions about very legitimate, strange things. And then a very weird event happened where as the media is running this big kind of smear campaign on these questions, a guy conveniently walks into that pizza place with an AR gun and shoots the place up. Doesn't hit anybody, but manages to shoot a bullet straight through the hard drive that's in the back room somehow, and gets arrested by police very publicly. They have a big photo shoot, and he gives a couple of sound bites as they're hauling him off that are something to the effect of, I was so convinced that it was all real and that it was all here and it's just not, or something. And so it's like, wow, that is sure convenient that, good thing that Hillary Clinton's not personally running a giant satanic pedophile ring out of the basement of this pizzeria, which no one was alleging. And that was sort of became the wrap-up smear. As you know, Nancy Pelosi has described to us in the past how a wrap-up smear works, where you wrap a problematic narrative up in a false representation of it, and then you have something crazy happen, dangerous, crazy, objectionable happen around that. So then you can look at it and say, that's dangerous. These conspiracy theories are dangerous. And anyone that engages in these conspiracy theories is dangerous. So we can censor them all off the internet because it's been debunked. Don't pay attention to the fact that the guy that owns the pizza place that has the images of children on their Instagram is the boyfriend of the guy that runs Media Matters, who is one of the primary debunkers of these things. So those are the sorts of weird things that happened around the breaking of Pizzagate, and no one ever got any answers. No one in government ever took it seriously. And all those emails are still out there floating. They're harder to find these days, but they're still out there. And the Instagram accounts were preserved in various formats online, archived. So you can still find a lot of the evidence, but it's a lot harder to verify now because you do make a great point about the current email release that a lot of bullshit gets mixed in and a lot of stuff of questionable veracity gets mixed in. And so you have to be very careful about sourcing it all, especially 10 years down the line with something like Pizzagate. But
may I ask, do you know if it's true? And I believe it is, but so the man you just referred to who shot up Comet Pizza in Washington, which by the way was like very close to my house where I brought my children there because it was the pizza place in my neighborhood, which the whole thing is so weird. One of the reasons I didn't take it seriously, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's on Connecticut Avenue. It's right there.
Right.
Too close to it. But the guy who shot it up, who seemed a little bit off, right, was just shot to death last month, right before these emails were released, by police in North Carolina, who pulled him over apparently on suspicion that he was a fugitive of some kind. I don't think that he was. They said he reached for a gun and two cops killed him. That guy, that same guy was killed right before the document release. Is that true?
I heard the same reporting. Obviously, at this point, I don't really know what's true. The whole world feels a little bit like the Matrix, but yes, I read the same reporting. And the nuance was not lost on me. But I don't know about you or anyone else, but I was in no way expecting to find pizza references in the Epstein files. Even though I had dug deeply into the Pizzagate stuff, and even though we know that Jeffrey Epstein is a human trafficker that is, trafficking in the same things that Pizzagate would allege gets pizza references, it just never occurred. I wasn't expecting any pizza references. So it kind of blew my mind when suddenly there's like 800 and something references to pizza in these emails. And especially you picked out some really, really great one, like obvious ones at the opener there, where like pizza and grape soda is a very overt pairing that I'm not sure I've ever seen anyone actually like eat as a pairing.
Well, and also, these are people, well, first of all, in this exchange, apparently one guy's a physician and the other is Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. And these are health obsessed people. These are people who talk about getting blood transfusions just to extend their lives. And I know as an actual pizza fan that pizza is very unhealthy. It's been a lifelong struggle for me. Pizza and grape soda, like these are the last things that people who care about their health eat. And these are, there's a whole class of people who are, vain for one thing, but who are very focused on themselves and their physical health. And it just sort of, I don't know, it's a lot for me to believe that the one thing that Epstein's friends and John Podesta's friends have in common is they both have a steady diet of pizza and grape soda. Like I just don't believe it.
And not only do they have a steady diet of that.
I think that shit is weird as hell, man. Pizza and grape soda. And first of all, these is all grown ass people talking about a pizza party. You know how many pizza references there are? Then they got references to beef jerky. So we're going to be getting into some of the Epstein files and what does some of these terms mean. I've seen something going viral, which is like a list of what each food term mean. I've even been seeing people making connection to Justin Bieber's Yummy video. There's so many things that's happening online. And, it's for you to put it together for yourself as well from what you're going to believe. But I think everything is just really, 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 really crazy.
But they feel compelled to email each other about it with very weird verbiage. How many grown men email each other about getting pizza, or about how tasty the pizza was, or about how many slices you can slice a pizza up into, or how many people will be at the pizza party? Then there's another email in the current dump that is even, it stuck out to me because it has the word red hook in it, which at first I didn't have the context and it seemed suspicious, the words red hook, where it was someone was emailing asking if another guy can go to Red Hook for a pizza meal later. And then in looking into it, it turns out that Red Hook is the address of where Jeffrey Epstein's...
Because it's from Brooklyn. Red Hook is in Brooklyn. But Epstein Island, he has an address, which I think his businesses or something on the island is also located as Red Hook. Because I know on his files, it was written Red Hook. So on his island, he took that to Epstein's island with him.
Virgin Islands businesses are domiciled. It's on the marina where you would leave in the boat to get to his island. And so then it's almost weirder. Someone was emailing asking if another man can go to where Jeffrey Epstein's business is domiciled for a pizza meal at some... There's a lot of emails like that where people ask if they can use the apartment for a bit, or if we can go get pizza for a few hours or for 30 minutes. That's a Pizzagate reference as opposed to these emails. A lot of these times where they're using food language in ways that does not square with how food actually gets eaten or talked about ever.
Most security systems operate like old-fashioned cable internet. They're installed.
No, we're still in the first week here, but no, I don't know of anyone being asked directly about any of these references or about any of the more overt stuff for that matter. The other, very rich and powerful people that are caught with their pants down, so to speak here. A couple of people have issued apologies. A couple of people have, resigned from positions, but it's entirely underwhelming, the official response, because it's one thing for someone like you or me, journalists to go and ask questions, which is good and should be happening. But that's not what should be happening. What should be happening is law enforcement should be at their door knocking and asking these questions. Like, we should have institutions that are there asking these questions and many more. This is a particularly interesting and dark thread when you really unwind it. But there's obviously all the other threads of just like, hey, you went to the island. Hey, you said you never talked to him, but you did. So, and none of those questions are being asked. We're being told that it's all a Democrat hoax and that Kash Patel would arrest someone if there was anyone to arrest. So it's very underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, I always am suspicious of people who kind of jump ahead to things like arrest, conviction, incarceration, execution. Like, how about let's just start with an interview? And, I know a lot of people who've been interviewed by the FBI. I know hundreds of people have been interviewed. Right. Well, exactly. But in the context of a federal investigation, it's not crazy to call somebody. In fact, it's common. It happens every single day. Happened to like every relative of every J6 prisoner got called in, sat down. Can we come talk to you? I mean, that's not weird. That's the beginning of justice. That's the first step in finding out what happened, punishing the guilty, exonerating the innocent, is having these conversations in the context of a federal investigation, like an FBI interview. And I find it very strange that none of this has happened. And so when you see people on television say, well, we don't have any evidence to indict someone or, panel a grand jury, it's like, I don't know who talked about a grand jury. Why don't you just ask questions you're the FBI? And if they're not doing that, then you sort of wonder why. So so here's the bigger picture that you're qualified to provide and I'm not. The implication of this and a lot of other things in this file dump is that there are basically religious rituals, sexual in nature. That's very common through history. There were temple prostitutes for a reason. There are rituals involving children underway in the United States and the West, rich and powerful people sexually abusing young people. That is very hard for a lot of people to believe or metabolize, but it feels like that's not totally crazy. Like that happens. Does that happen?
I mean, absolutely. It's so dark that it's hard for average people, regular people that are just trying to live their lives to even approach it. And even imagine, like, you cannot put yourselves in the shoes of someone so depraved. And honestly, like, regular Americans can't even put themselves in the shoes of a millionaire, let alone a billionaire, because they're just trying to pay their bills and they can't, because the billionaires are, doing these billionaires at least are doing certain things that are messing everything up. But so it's so far removed from our regular experience that it's hard to understand and believe. But it is, I mean, there's been good evidence of elements of that in various kind of fringe investigations for a long time. And I don't say fringe to mean they're unreliable. I mean fringe to say that they just never get traction with the mainstream media for whatever reason.
Right.
But it's right there in these emails and in these files. And it's not entirely clear what all of it means, but there's very overt references, there's covert references, and there's just mounting, because people are still digging through them. These are millions of files and no effective way to sort through them the way that the DOJ put them out. And so the evidence is mounting more and more that we have everything in these files from people that were turning a blind eye, which is also reprehensible, people that were adjacent and complicit, people that were directly complicit, people that were straight up evil and disgusting, and then people that venture into the demonic or the truly depraved. And people that have been following this story have known for a long time that unfortunately that is that's always been a part of it, and we've had evidence that that's a part of it for a long time. And that's true of most all human trafficking networks. The people that are doing human trafficking by their nature are some of the most depraved people on this planet. And it's an enormous industry, and it's not getting any smaller. And it's tragic that it takes something so overt as, this massive blackmail ring apparently blowing up in the middle of the United States government and across the entire world, and then trailing out in a 10-year long cover up, almost 7-year long cover up, for people to even confront that this is happening. But it's definitely happening. Not everyone in the files is, participating in ritualistic sacrifices or anything like that. Right. And there are fake things in the files that are, for whatever reason in there. Like, for one example, one that went very viral is there's an image in the files of a cutting board with chickens on it and a black box censored out, but there's a foot sticking out, and it's obviously a baby's foot. And the implication is that it's a cutting board with some chickens and a baby, and they're going to carve it up and eat it. By my understanding, that is a fake image. It's kind of hard to tell what's real and what's fake at this point, but there's stuff like that in there that's so there's just a lot of really messed up stuff in there, but there's also a lot of people running away with a little tidbit for views or clicks or likes or whatever it is. And so it's really important that people pump the brakes, slow down, and go to the original source files and look for people that are citing their sources on the files that they're referencing. And when they make definitive claims, they show you the files that they're talking about, because a lot of people are making claims that are actually objectively untrue or are based on a small morsel that has been blown up into a whole meal of, great content, but not necessarily great journalism.
So most people don't wake up in the morning and decide to feel horrible, exhausted, foggy, disconnected from the. I also say that Jeffrey Epstein describes Bill Barr, the former AG, as, quote, CIA. Jeffrey Epstein privately says this guy's CIA. Bill Barr covered up Epstein's murder. He was clearly murdered in federal detention. Barr said out loud, we got to make sure everyone thinks this is a suicide. So why isn't he being asked about this? And the second is Mike Pompeo. And Mike Pompeo was caught plotting to murder Julian Assange, the head of WikiLeaks. Why is this significant? Well, because it was WikiLeaks that made that first tranche of emails available to the public. And it was Julian Assange who said on camera, basically said, my source, he didn't say this, he didn't say my source, but he heavily suggested in an interview with Dutch television, my source was Seth Rich, the DNC staffer who was found murdered on the street in Washington in a so-called robbery where nothing was taken from him. That investigation was taken over by the FBI. What? Why? And Assange goes on Dutch television and says, I can't see who my sources are, but they face great risks. You can pull up the interview right now and look at it. And then he points to Seth Rich. And the interviewer's like, wait, are you saying Seth Rich was murdered for this? And Assange is like, look, I can't tell you who my sources are, but my sources take great risks. Seth Rich just got murdered. I mean, that couldn't be clearer, right? It was right after that Julian Assange was incarcerated, first in an embassy in London and then in Belmarsh prison, never charged with a crime. And that was pushed by CIA and Mike Pompeo. And it's like, wait a second. Shouldn't someone ask Mike Pompeo? Like, what is this? What is this? These are real allegations. They're credible allegations. And rather than follow up, you're punishing the guy who brought them to light. Tell us how that works, Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo's like wandering free and no one asks him about this. Like, what is going on, Ian Carroll?
Every time I talk about this story, every aspect of the story from Pizzagate to Epstein, everything in between, I always have to try not to get angry because it's when you think about, especially for me, the cover up, it makes me so furious how regular Americans are going to jail over like smoking a joint or going to jail over like paying taxes that are getting sent overseas anyways, or going to jail over a parking ticket they can't afford, whatever it is, this madness in this country where we are lawfared to death. But these obvious criminals and these people that we at least have obvious questions for are just walking free. And you bring up two really great points that, I mean, in both cases, I think it's obvious that those actions are being taken on behalf of whatever criminal organizations or happenings are being exposed. For example, in those email dumps that Seth Rich probably leaked, because it wasn't just Pizzagate stuff. It was also all sorts of Benghazi stuff, all sorts of Hillary Clinton stuff, all sorts of other really serious stuff that also was never asked of the appropriate parties. But I mean, when you start talking about who's still walking free that we should be asking questions of, and we're looking at the Epstein investigation, that list immediately grows to like 100 miles long. And we got in one of the document drops that happened a couple weeks ago, and then we re-corroborated it multiple times since then. We got a list of 10 co-conspirators that they have had for years from one of their old investigations that just never happened because they were, Kash Patel's been telling us there are no co-conspirators. There is no organization. It was just him alone. But we've got a document saying that they had 10 co-conspirators, one of whom was Leslie Wexner. They're named. And that the list is long. Like there's pilots. We know their names. Larry Visosky. There's 3 different pilots. There's a bunch of other madams like Ghislaine Maxwell, but assistants that were helping to recruit girls. There's a bunch of other people that were trafficking models and bringing models in and out. There's just this there's an enormously long list of people in various roles all around Epstein that we know full well were at the very least deeply suspiciously involved, where they should be asked some very serious questions. I mean, right up to Ehud Barak, who by my accounting looks like the handler of Epstein. He certainly looks like we have all these emails from both Ehud Barak's email server now and from Jeffrey Epstein's trove of documents that corroborate them doing what looks like intelligence operations all around the world and in the United States. So there's just an endless number of people that, like you were saying earlier, that we could at least investigate because it's in the name, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And they keep on giving us this line as though like, well, we've got emails, but it's not illegal to party with Jeffrey Epstein. And it's like, we're not asking you to read the emails. We're asking you to investigate all of the myriad suspicious things that are documented here in these files and emails. And instead of getting investigation, we're getting what looks like cover up, denial, distraction, anything but investigation. And it kind of makes you wonder why.
Well, it definitely makes you wonder why. And part of it is the political dynamic, which, poisons everything. And Trump is obviously sensitive to like partisan traps after the Russian nonsense, which was a lie. Russiagate was a lie. By the way, Russiagate was constructed, in my view, in part to cover up the origin of the DNC emails in 2016 and the John Podesta Gmail dump in 2016. Neither of which was done by Russia. Clearly, there's a lot more there. We're not allowed to ask questions about Seth Rich. I don't know why. Seth Rich's parents don't own that story. I feel so sorry for them, of course, but I'm an American citizen. And if someone is murdered on the street in Washington, we all have an interest in asking, what was that? That's not an attack on his memory. It's a demand for justice in the name of every single American, not just his family. They don't get to shut it down. Sorry. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like all of this gets to the foundation of our system, which is justice. Is every citizen treated the same under the law or not? And if not, then we need to fix that. So, and I know that Trump is really worried this is a trap laid for him. I'm sure it is. But let's set that aside and ask about the rest of us and whether our country can continue on the same basis that, we assumed we were living under, which is again, one of equal justice under the law. So, can you just go through some of the questions? And I think both of us are trying to be really responsible and fact-based here. Clearly there's nonsense in this document dump. Don't want to get trapped by it. Don't want to fall for it. Okay. But on the basis of things that we can say with some certainty are true or seem to be true, what are the questions that you, having gone through this for several days now, think that we should be asking, following up on?
Well, there's questions for a lot of different people, and some of them are more serious and some of them are maybe less serious. One of the biggest ones in many ways is, how did we let Bill Gates be in charge of the medical decisions of our entire nation when apparently he was trying to slip antibiotics to his wife secretly because he transferred sexually transmitted diseases from hookers on Jeffrey Epstein's islands to her? That's
the craziest thing ever, bro. And this person is dealing with the COVID-19 and all of this other stuff. We talking about facts. We talking about different situations like that. But yet he wanted to slip some medicine in his wife's food, drink. We don't know, because he contracted something from a young, allegedly, woman on a young girl. Sorry, any young woman. Most likely, it's a young girl on Epstein Island.
Oh no, you can't be serious. That's some bullshit right there.
Nasty word.
Is insane. And when you look back at the absolutely just the crime against humanity that COVID was, and you realize who Bill Gates is and who he's exposed to be in these emails, that's atrocious. But that's less of a question we need to ask,
but
and more of a person we need to just forget about forever, right?
Well, first of all, I just bless you for saying that, and you put it so well. This is the guy who is making health decisions for the entire world, and apparently from these emails, he's trying to slip a drug into his wife's drink because he infected her with a venereal disease from a Russian hooker. So yeah, I mean, that's just amazing. Thank you for saying that. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's apparently our health professionals, our pandemic response. But I think that everyone that's in the files has a certain amount of answering to do. For example, Elon Musk, and to Elon's credit, at least he's out on Twitter, at least putting his words forwards. I don't know as they all square with me when you actually read what he said in the emails versus what he's saying on Twitter is the truth. But like, I haven't seen anything that directly, completely 100% contradicts one another, so to speak. So there's reconciliations of, because that, for people that don't have the context.
Jesus Lord. This whole situation just been graphic, bro. But I've been watching a lot about this, man. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Let's check what's going on X, though. Let me see what's going on X, man. Who's this? Oh, the Israel Prime Minister. I don't know if this be AI or what, man. We in this AI world, man. This world is crazy right now, man. We don't know what to tell from what's fake, from what's real. This was crazy when I first saw this. These people got these, this woman does these exhibits. It's just look mad demonic, bro. I've been spending hours reading the Epstein files released on the United States Department of Justice. The horror is so immense and unimaginable that I physically feel sick. As humanity, we need to face this with the courage it demands to acknowledge the barbarity in, let's say show more, but it's just craziness, man. Are you referring to Lorraine Powell Jobs' ex-wife, Steve Jobs? Never heard that anyone calls her Laura, so just double checking. Lorraine Powell Jobs. Some of these pictures, I don't know. Some of these pictures, I don't know if they're verified, man. They look like people on, I don't know what's going on, bro. I don't know what's going on. You got the Indian version of the Epsteins. Yo, man. My question is, what's in the rest of the files? You know, that's my question. What's in the rest of the files? If they was holding out on these files for how long, and supposedly, allegedly dropped off like 3 million, supposedly, still supposed to have like 7 million or something like that, upwards, I don't know, around that number of files. Seriously. Is this file dump just a bunch of garbage, just something that they just threw at us? Is that just that? Even though this file's got some things in there. This file's got some things in there, but is this meant for us to just, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know, bro. Because I see people taking things that are not verified yet and be running with it. They putting AI with stuff, and there's so much different things. Like he said, that actual chicken with the on the cutting board and things like that. That's not really verified. So it's like we don't know what to make from what, especially if you go on TikTok. Oh my God, man. You don't know what they grabbing things from 1930. It's black and white talking about this in the Epstein file. You don't know what the hell they put the music, put the music behind it. You swear it's from the Epstein file. You could take anything, write Epstein file on it, put a gloomy sound on it, and a person gonna think it. It's guaranteed right now. You know what I mean? So it just goes to show you how much impact this has made. Look, they got things like this. We got Bush in them. Photo leaked. Come on, bro. I don't know about that, man. Think about this, though, right? They ran down on Epstein, but they ain't run down on all his crib. Do you know that they ran down on Epstein? Do you know? They ran down on his house. Listen to me, y'all. Listen to me, y'all. I was at Diddy trial. I covered Diddy's case. Okay, I was there for 40 days. Listen to me. I do journalism. Listen to me. They ran down on Epstein. Okay. If you see it as a picture, let me find a picture of the CDs if you've never seen it, right? There's some DVDs and CDs that they seen when they ran up in Epstein place, right? Yet they didn't take that. I don't know if they said that they didn't have warrants to touch or remove these CDs, supposedly, allegedly, right? They leave the CDs and certain articles or whatever evidence items you would think they want to, right? Nope, they leave it there. They go back to station, wherever they go, but they leave it with Epstein's people that's at the house, maybe housekeepings, whoever that's at the house, who's the house guest, whoever's running the place, whatever the case, and leave it up to them to send in the files of whatever they needed. Yo, send me this, send us all these things that we need. So they end up bringing it and dropping it off. So they didn't take this evidence. So they could have destroyed stuff. They had time to maybe do whatever they wanted to do with certain evidence. You know what I mean? We see how they ran down on Diddy. Listen, you saw how they ran down on Diddy, right? Was Diddy I'm not saying Diddy wasn't oily with the slip and slides with the Astroglides. I'm not saying he wasn't. He was with the Astroglides. But I'm saying the way Diddy's whole situation was just like a big situation, right? And the way they ran down on Diddy, we'd have thought we'd have seen lace baby oils. We'd have seen everything else that we was alleged to hear from the prosecution, right? We didn't get some of those things, right? But yet they running down on Epstein, okay? Diddy is a baby. Baby's kids to Epstein. What are you talking about? He's a baby. You're talking about he's the little baby oil, the small baby oil. What are you talking about? Epstein is the Costco oils. What are we talking about here? Yet they ran up in Diddy's situation like that. That was just something so weird to me. Why would they leave them with all those CDs? I got to bring up the picture so y'all can see. Why would they leave them with those CDs and all those files? That is weird as hell. And say and give it y'all's criminals. We running up on y'all because y'all criminal allegedly, right? And leave it up to y'all instead of we staying here to secure the spot and say, nah, man, get that warrant because we taking these CDs and all that. What are you talking about? They can't issue you a warrant right now over the counter. Come on, bro. They could issue you that like Flintstone tablets. A federal agent like them, they could get that right now. We watch Jack Bauer, 24. You're not going to play that game. Hold up. Look. CDs and DVDs. Look, DVDs in Epstein's house. One of these days, I'm probably later on. But like I said, I'm going to do more memberships lives. I don't really like doing lives that much. Members lives only, really. But I'm going to be doing, really just going through all of the files, man. Each drop, there's 12 drops. I think 13 drops by now. It's 12 or 13 drops. We're just going to run through them, man. Just start running through the drops and just reading what's in the files because that's what I've been doing. But now I want to start to read it with y'all. So I ain't want to just start to read it. I've read a lot, man. It's a lot, bro. Hold up. Where's the image of the DVDs? CDs, right? CDs in Epstein's house. image. This right here. This is one of them, right? Because this supposed to allegedly, I don't even know if this is the one, because they said allegedly this had the name of a girl, you know what I mean, that Epstein had, right? Hold on, let me show y'all this image real quick. It's all scary stuff, man. It's all scary stuff. Hold up. All right, cool. Let me take this out real quick, so I can show y'all this image that they left the CDs. I don't even know this is the one, but I mean, you're going to get the drift when I show you this one, though. Feel me? Look, boom. They taking pictures of the CDs, yet they don't take the CDs. Come on, bro. That's mad weird as hell, bro. Look. Left mad CDs, but then left it up to them to bring in the CDs by themselves or something like that, or turn them in or turn in other evidence by themselves. Why would you be trusting these people like that? What type of shenanigans is that? I don't understand that, bro.
Oh no, you can't be serious. That's some bullshit right there.
You lying ass bitch.
It got to be, bro. Y'all left the CDs? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Oh boy, I don't know, man. Them some people saying that Epstein alive, bro. I don't know, man. Y'all get in the comment section of this video. Y'all let me know what y'all think about Epstein. Do you think that Epstein is the upper room when Jesus comes? Do you think he upper room, homie? Or do you think he got away by the hairs on his chinny chin?
Oh no, you can't be serious. That's some bullshit right there.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. I seen an image with Epstein running around on TikTok or something like that. They talk about, they put that music, right? When they put that music behind anything, it shit just seemed like some Epstein shit. They put one look like an autopsy or something like that of Epstein's and all that. The bridge of the nose looking crazy, but then they ink in a ear, like the inside of the ear looking at it. I don't know, bro. I don't know what to believe right now. The internet is going crazy, deranged. Okay. Salute to my bro Shadow Titan Wasp, man. Salute to you, broski. But yeah, though, man, it's crazy, man. I just been reading the Epstein files, man. We got to be reading stuff and doing research on stuff. I've been even doing a lot of political research, learning about politics, different kinds of things that, you know, normally coming from the places that I'm from, people don't care to think about these things. You know what I mean? Yet they're going to say, yo, go vote, or whatever the hell. But people is just crowd vote. They just look at what they think people are doing and they go and we do it. You know what I'm saying? I think that we be followers a lot of times, man. It don't matter. And it's not no color on being a follower. It's no color on being a follower, man. You know what I'm saying? So right now we got to be stepping up our games on some political stuff too. Just not about going into politics, but I'm just saying learning more. What kind of policies, understanding what the hell's going on, because every time we think of things as such of a big thing, but we don't know that we could affect things on a local level. You know what I mean? Never know. We can affect things on a local level and then hold certain politicians who we deem to the fire for things that people are promising us. We vote for people, and after that, man, that ain't work. We ain't vote no more. You know what I'm saying? But we never hold the politicians that's promising us things to the fire to be like, yo, bro, you done told us this with the left hand, but you sold us this with the right hand, man. What's going on with the, you know what I'm saying? What's up? So sometimes I think that we get lackadaisic and, you know, or we just thinking about the things that don't matter. We caught up in the TV, we caught up in the songs and all of this other dumb shit. You know what I mean? And many people could just bank on that. That's where we caught up at. You know what I mean? And I think that's a sad thing, man. Kulu, salute. Yeah, I think that's a sad thing, man. I think that's a really sad thing. But yeah, man, this whole Epstein situation is real, man. And we're seeing things happen in the world. And we don't understand that maybe a lot of these things that we're watching is all connected in some way. You know what I mean? We're just watching so many things, like singular things. But, you know, maybe when we start to do the research and stuff, maybe we'll start seeing connections through everything. You know what I mean? But most definitely, we need to be stepping up our games on politics, understanding different policies, understanding who's out there, who's representing, even on a local level, who's representing us in our cities. Sometimes we watching it as White House and all of that. Yeah, but who's in our cities? Who's coming in right now, getting bread right now in our city? That's supposed to be holding down something and representing for us. Who's that? It don't matter the color of the person. Who is this person? That's what it's about. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. Something gotta happen, man. And read the Epstein files. It's all free, man. Go to Epstein files, it's DOJ, and click it. And click it. And read. Read what's going on. What's happening in the world. See what the hell's happening. Because the things that Epstein is mentioning in these files, there's things about around the world. It seems like Epstein was tapped in. He was tied in more than some people that's even government officials. He was tapped in. Tapped in. He knew what was shaking. He knew what was moving. He knew what was going on. There's things that's alleged in there to be things that you could say could be a prophecy, bro. Don't go into that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Leave me be. You know what I'm saying? Leave me be. I ain't even got to go into that. I ain't got to say the words, but you know what I'm talking about. Facts. So we already know what that's about. Straight. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. Yeah. I don't even know where to start with this shit, bro. There's so many files. I've been going through them. They got this beef jerky thing that they talking about. I'm like, beef jerky? You talking about it in an insulated bag, keep it in a freezer. He's talking about 6 to 8 ounces of beef jerky. I'm like, then he talking about, I'm going to walk the beef jerky over to him. Like, bro, like, I'm going to bring the, why can't you just say I'm going to bring him the beef jerky? I'm going to walk the beef. Do the jerky got legs? Like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on, homie. Do the jerky got, you know what I mean? Do it, got that, bro. I don't know what's going on. Then we got all these pizza references. Yummy pizza. We're going to have a pizza party. We got people 60s. These people old as hell, bro. Hell ain't even old as these people, bro. Straight. And these people want pizza parties and grape soda. Grape soda? Grape? I don't know. One of them said we're gonna carry over what? Was it the pizza? No, it was the beef jerky. It was said we're gonna carry over the beef. We're gonna walk over the beef jerky and the lemongrass. Lemongrass. Lemongrass be like some code for the culture, the person for where the person from, maybe Asian. Yo, bro. Yo. I don't know. But you know who the shakiest person? Salute to my girl Ambition. Salute to you, Queen. I appreciate you. Nah, you know who this wildest person is? Cash Patel, bro. Cash Patel, man. Something shaky about that guy, bro. Something is shaky about Cash Patel. Straight. I was going to do a video last night. I was watching him he was at Congress or something, talking with these people. He was just deflecting, and they was asking him about the files, and he was saying, listen, I'm the first person I'm the most transparent person. We released 3 million files. And I was like, you ever seen a little African kid that was talking to a white lady? It's a Facebook meme. He like this. I was really looking at him like the little African kid like this. I don't know, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, bro. He Indian. I like a little good curry, then a little tandoori, but I had to give him the little African look, bro. Soon as the guy started grilling him, get the guy's name. He wasn't even the chairman. He started to flip on him and started to deflect and bring up a bunch of things that this guy has done. But I don't know, man. Why did they hold back all the rest of the files? Why didn't y'all drop the files? Right? Why didn't y'all just drop the files? If it's nothing, drop the files, right? It's 7 million, drop it. We'll get through it. Just drop it. You know what I'm saying? We'll figure this out. Drop it, bro. Why you want to do the little compartmental drop? That shit is weak, bro. I don't know. Something about that carpal mental dropped to me. I don't know. Y'all gotta let me know. Yeah, man. These Epstein files is crazy, man. These Epstein files is crazy. I had another thing. I didn't even know if I could read it, man. I was Googling ChatGPT, asking, thinking, can I read it? Yo, bro, some shit in here. I'm like, yo, can I read this, bro? Or is she talking about Epstein and Trump, bro? Damn, bro. I want to read that shit. It's like 30 something pages of a victim's testimony. Or I don't know if it's allegedly, I'm gonna say allegedly, but you're talking about, I'll give you some leaning towards what they're talking about. They were saying whoever she is, she was saying, in one situation, right? She said that because this was a situation where I'm not gonna say Orange homie, you know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? I'm gonna say J or some shit. But look, boom, so Orange and J. So it was a young, you know what I mean? Girl, it was a girl. And Jay and Orange was getting into an argument over who was gonna, in the words of the transcript of what it said of what I wrote. So I'm not saying nothing. I'm telling you what it wrote. That's how it said who was gonna not only take her V, but they used the words who was gonna pop her cherry first. Crazy shit. They talk about times when him and them both are getting these massages and they're both in the nude and they were young. You already know the vibes, right? In one situation, he says him and Orange and Jay is arguing over the young, you know what I mean? And he like, come on, man. You know the little hat? He called him the word, the J word. He said, come on, you little hat bastard, right? The J bastard. He calls him that, right? Boom. He has the girl and Orange has the girl, right? They say Orange has the girl. Orange has the girl. I think it was three occasions or something like that. It was like a 3 occasion thing. At first, I think she had to pleasure him by her hand, right? Another time, I think was copulated with oral, right? Now they get, I think, into this argument that they get into, Jay and Orange, of who's gonna do the first, right? But then Orange ended up doing it. And I think because it was so many situations, I don't want to conflate them. Because I know the girl told Orange at the end of the situation, she told him while he was doing it, put on a condom, right? Orange said, what? I'm not doing that. No, I want to do. What are you talking about? I think he slapped her, whatever the case may be. Did what he did, threw some money at it to get an AB, right? Get an AB, whatever the case may be, right? So Orange did it. So what they say, allegedly. So now Jay finds out that Orange did that with her, and he's furious about this. He's mad, okay? Yo, how he done, you know what I'm saying? So now, since he's mad, he takes her, Jay takes her, assaults her, beautifully great, brutally grapes her, all types of stuff, right? All because Orange did it before he did. And that's just one situation, bro. And they talk about Orange coming through like a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? Or that shit is crazy, bro. Yeah, man, I gotta read that shit, bro. I gotta read that shit. I don't know, man. By the time we get the rest of it, it's gonna be shaky work. I don't know. I ain't trusting that shit. By the time that shit come, we don't know, bro. They probably done halfway doctored this shit. Come on, bro. I ain't putting past nothing. Y'all want to say the Bible tampered? This ain't. Shut up. Be smart. I ain't stupid. Bah. Never been a sheep in my life. Bible tampered. This not. Yeah, exactly. I'm not buying that shit. But yeah, man. It's crazy. Crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna do another drop on this though. I'm most definitely gonna do another drop on this, man. I'm gonna put together a couple of these files and we're gonna get through it, man. Salute to everybody. Salute to Ambitious. Salute to Shaq. It's cool for pulling up. Salute to everybody. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, man. Start reading this and most definitely start getting into some things in the world and some things that matter, so that we can start learning some things and we can start telling each other some stuff and start learning and start teaching each other some real shit that really matters. Because right now, we're living in the dog years, bro. It's crazy.
All my niggas from the Uda, all my niggas turn shooters.